MCARBO brother, I'm Chris Nelson, President of MCARBO. Really excited to introduce a new Phoenix HP22A HP25A trigger spring kit for your Phoenix pistol. Really love this. We got a 35% trigger pull reduction. Great little shooter now. It was in the 7-pound range. We brought it down to 4.5 pounds. Not to mention we also added the 15% stronger extra power recoil spring. Really helps control some of the recoil in this, but most importantly, it improves the function and reliability. That was something that we wanted to address primarily with this Phoenix. That recoil spring is known to wear out, known to cause catastrophic failures because it does not work very well. Makes this thing just really unreliable. So we increased the reliability, boosted the performance, and reduced that trigger pull. This thing is a really nice shooting pistol, feels great. Really love this. Let's get on over tabletop, show you how we did it. Parts and tools needed for this build: the Phoenix HP22A HP25A trigger spring kit by MCARBO includes a lighter Sear spring and a lighter trigger return spring, an extra power recoil spring by MCARBO for the Phoenix HP22A HP25A, hammer, 1/16 inch punch, 3/32 inch punch, 1/8 inch punch, bench block, micro tip flathead, regular tip flathead, and as always guys, make sure we're on iPro. Before we get started, let's go ahead and take this opportunity together, check our firearms, make sure they're clear, check the chamber, check the bolt face, check the magazine well. This firearm's clear. Let's go ahead and see what kind of factory trigger pull we're starting with. We're going to use a snap cap. It is a rim fire, so we just want to save that firing pin. We don't want it striking that steel chamber. Just going to put in this aluminum snap cap, dummy round. If you don't have a snap cap or a dummy round, you can just use a spent casing, which is, you know, an empty shell. Let's see what kind of factory trigger pull we're starting with. 6 pounds, 15 ounces. Let's see what kind of factory trigger pull we're starting with. 7 pounds, 1.8 ounces. All right, so we get started by removing the slide and the barrel. On the Phoenix here, it's somewhat unique. You need to pull this little lever forward as you push up on the barrel. So lock the hammer back, pull back on the slide just a hair, and pull forward on this lever here and push up on the barrel. And you're pulling back on the slide as you're continuing to remove the barrel here, just like that. And that recoil spring, be careful, it could fly out. It's just one of those things. If it does, it's okay. You'll find it. If you don't, you've got an extra power recoil spring to replace it with. And the slide comes right out just like that. So you'll notice there's 2 tabs the slide will locate on and slide back onto right there. So it just pops out like that. And then your recoil spring right here. Notice that it doesn't have a guide rod. So that's something too. You know, this spring is notoriously weak. It wears out quite a bit. Another great reason to have a stronger extra power recoil spring to help keep it in place so it's not binding and bending, because that has been known to happen and lead to those cycling issues. So just something important to think about is, you know, I've got a recoil spring in here that's really prone to wear. It's a lot weaker than it should be. That extra power replacement is going to do a heck of a lot of good to improve that cycling and just prevent any sort of catastrophic malfunction. You don't want that. So put that aside. We'll deal with it in a second. And obviously this is your lever. So this is your release. This is what allows you to actually remove that barrel and the slide. It's got this little locating feature here for the recoil spring. All right, so we got all those items out. Now we can go ahead and get into the grip. Now we're just going to take the regular tip flathead and remove these 2 screws here to remove the left side grip on the Phoenix. Now just pull that grip cover off. You'll notice everything inside here. So we got our safety block here, our safety spring. Notice how this locates inside these 2 little notch features here. And underneath here is our Sear spring, so we're going to replace that. So it's real simple. We'll just pop out this little safety right here. Just kind of slides right off like that. Go ahead and set it aside. And now you can see we'll leave that safety spring in there. We're going to leave this safety block in here. You don't want to remove that. And the Sear spring is right there. It'll be real simple to remove. Grab your little micro flathead and just pull up on that leg right there. Definitely want to make sure you're wearing iPro here. All right, just pops out. Notice how that long leg went up and rested right here on this portion of the Sear. So long leg on this portion of the Sear behind it, and this little short leg's captured in the pocket back here. All right, so we'll set that Sear spring aside. And that's pretty much it for what we're going to need to do to replace the Sear spring over here. Next will be to remove this trigger hinge pin so we can get access to that trigger return spring in there. You'll notice this long leg of the trigger return spring right here, how it's pressed up against this pin. All right, the top one. The little short leg is pressed up against the trigger inside the housing there. All right, so what we'll do is we're going to tap out just a little bit of this pin so that we can get that spring out. So just grab our bench block, our little 1/16 inch punch, and we're going to tap it out, same side. 'Cause 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 check our progress. We just want to get enough of it out. We want to leave the trigger captured if we can. Now we can remove that trigger return spring just like that with our micro tip. You can see how it's coming out. So you can see that long leg there and the short leg that was pressed up against the trigger. All right, so that little trigger return spring's coming out. We're done with that. All right, we've got that little pin still inside of the frame. All right, it's keeping everything lined up, which is handy, makes for an easy, faster installation. So we'll grab our HP22 HP25 trigger spring kit by MCARBO. Let's open this up and compare these springs. All right, so here's the MCARBO springs here. Much lighter trigger return spring, much lighter Sear spring. Here's your Sear spring here, much lighter. Here's your trigger return spring here, much lighter. All right, good. So lighter springs. You can see this is the factory Sear spring here. I think it's stiff as can be for the lighter MCARBO spring. Oh yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and put these in. So we'll start with the trigger return spring first. Set that Sear spring down for a second. All right, so what we'll do, little short leg right here, facing down into the trigger, longer leg is up towards that pin. So we kind of drop it in just straight on like this. And once that long leg is underneath that pin, it'll be much easier just to take our micro tip and just kind of push that short leg forward so then it compresses on itself. Now once everything is in its proper alignment, we can compress it further. We're at a good spot here because it's basically captured, it's just not completely lined up with the pin. So we'll just keep pushing down. You know, I jumped over to the larger flathead at this point. All right, now it's pretty much in there. And it'll basically kind of hold itself. You can also take your 1/16 inch punch and just press it through. Make sure you grab that coil, and there we go. So we got it captured right now. Now we'll just take our hammer and just give it a few taps as we gently allow that punch to walk its way out. And I got a little plastic tip here on the hammer, comes in handy. All right, so we got that spring captured now. So we're good to go. We just want to make sure it's leveled out over here. There's a little bit showing from that pin. So I'm just gonna take that 1/16 inch punch and give it another tap or two. Make sure it's evenly recessed on both sides. There we go, nice. So we're all set. Now we can put that Sear spring back in. Same kind of deal, dropping in a replacement spring, same way it was all oriented before. So this long leg is going to go on the back side of the Sear right here. So this long leg is going to go on the back side of the Sear right here. So I'm just going to press it in, short leg first. I want to get that captured. And the long leg, I'm just going to push over with my finger there and get it to drop behind. Drop behind that little portion of the Sear there. And then just make sure that spring is fully captured in that pocket. Don't want anything popping out. We're good to go there. And the lighter springs are much easier to manipulate and move around. So you got that going for you on the reinstallation. And then we'll take our safety, we'll drop it right in, that channel right there. Now we'll pull the spring over, and now we'll make sure that it's captured in that little recess right there on the bottom. I find that it's easier in the safe position like this. It tends to hold it better, this spring and this notch. That'll work just fine. We just need to stay in place so we can put it all back together. Now we'll put the grip back on, set it right on top, drop the screws in, tighten them right up. All right, so we got the grips back on. We got our trigger return spring replaced with a lighter trigger return spring. Got a lighter Sear spring installed. So we're pretty much there. Now we just need to put the extra power recoil spring in and put the slide back on. All right, so we're nearly there. This is what you should have in front of you. The frame, the slide, the barrel, the recoil spring, factory recoil spring, and then the takedown lever. And now we're gonna put in the Phoenix Arms HP22, HP25 extra power recoil spring by MCARBO. This spring is about 15% stronger than the factory spring, so it'll be a nice little upgrade, considering there are no recoil spring guides on this takedown lever whatsoever in the firearm. So you can see this is the MCARBO extra power spring here. So this spring is definitely got a larger wire diameter, a lot more spring tension than the factory flimsy spring. So it'll be a great upgrade for the HP22, HP25. Put the factory spring aside. Let's go ahead and install this extra power spring. Slide it right on the takedown lever. All right, we're gonna grab the frame and drop the takedown lever right in. Those two little tabs right there need to go under that little support on the frame there. So see those tabs underneath? And then the lever right here locates in this channel. Functions like this. All right, so pretty straightforward. Now we'll take our slide, get it to capture that recoil spring just like that. We're going to pull back and get it to locate on these two tabs, rails, get it slide back, and as we're doing so, we're going to compress it and lock the slide. Just put your finger over it like this, make sure that spring doesn't jump up on you, and keep going back until you can lock that slide. It'll compress it real nicely and just keep it all in good alignment, which is really handy for this next step. Take the barrel, get the barrel to locate right over that pin right there. You see that pin where the trigger return spring is located right there? We'll drop the barrel right in. This little notch is going to locate on that pin. All right, get it to locate. Should snap right down in place, just like that. All right, now we're good to go. It's that simple. So much easier than just fighting it and that spring flying everywhere. That is a time saver right there. Good to go. All right, so now we'll just do a quick little function check. Now this is your hammer block safety up here. So if you don't have a snap cap, you could just keep your hammer block safety on and you're good to go. You don't have to worry about that firing pin hitting the chamber. All right, so now we can test the safety. Your safety's right here. So pull the trigger, nothing, good. Pull the trigger, whew, that is light. I like that. Oh yeah. Listen for the reset. There we go. Beautiful. All right, man, let's test this trigger pull. All right, let's see what kind of modified trigger pull we got. 4 pounds, 8 ounces. Let's take one more to confirm. 4 pounds, 5.3 ounces. Well, there you have it, guys. Nice little 35% trigger pull reduction for this HP22A HP25A Phoenix pistol. Really love how it shoots now. From 7 pounds down to 4.5 pounds, much more desirable. Not to mention, we also boosted the reliability of this little pistol. Love that too. Solved 2 problems in 1 shot. Really love it. We almost should include both these springs in the same dang kit. It's a must-have, and if you're going to do it, you might as well do it all at once. Just makes sense. You know, that can be a little tricky putting that recoil spring back in, but I think you'll enjoy that technique. Try it another way, and I think you'll be very thankful for that little tip. Really love this. Glad you guys brought it to us. Thank you, MCARBO Brotherhood, for all your ideas and your support. As always, happy shooting.